I gotta say first off that I love the Resident Evil movies, okay? It's one of my favorite underground franchises. You know, the games, I didn't play the games a whole lot. I think the first Resident Evil game I played was Nemesis, but that was when I was a kid, and then I didn't play another one until I believe 5. But moreover, I liked the movies better, okay? I enjoy the movies because, in my opinion, I mean, I know that they were cheesy, and I know that a lot of times the acting wasn't very good. A lot of times piss poor acting, but they were always fun. It always had amazing music. It always had pretty cool visuals. The traditional effects like makeup and everything and costumes were always spot on and awesome in my opinion. And they were just fun to watch. I love them, and the more and more I watched each Resident Evil movie up to Retribution, the more I enjoyed the series. My favorite one is Resident Evil Extinction, which most people consider to be the worst one of the series, until now, okay? This fucking movie, Resident Evil, the final chapter, was like the worst fucking movie I've ever seen. I went into it, okay, and like I went into it optimistic. I'm like, yeah, you know, I've heard from some people that it's not very good, that it's a huge disappointment. I was going in there with an open mind, but I come out here and I say, you thought that was a disappointment? You are dead fucking wrong. The movie was a shame. That movie was awful. I was mad. I'm not kidding, okay? I have not walked out of a movie theater before because the way I see it is like, you know, if I'm gonna watch the movie, I'm gonna watch it to the end. I paid money for this seat right here, and I want to at least get to the end of the movie, okay? I was so fucking close to walking out of the movie 2 times! 2 fucking times in Resident Evil in an hour and 47-minute long movie. I almost fucking walked out. For a series that's one of my favorite, you almost made me fucking walk out of the movie theater. I went there alone. Sam had to work today, okay? So I went to the movie alone, and it was me, some dude in the front, I think 2 people behind me. And I could feel the awkward tension in the room because I think they were agreeing with the fact that we were basically just watching a steaming pile of animal feces on the screen. And I'm going to tell you why. But before I tell you why, I'm going to quickly say to you guys, after this video, or pause this video and go check out Angry Joe on YouTube, check out his review on Resident Evil because he has a non-spoiler review. In this video, I'm going to try not to do spoilers until the end. By the end, I'm going to end spoilers. So I'll let you guys know when I'm going to be talking about spoilers and stuff, like actual plot-heavy spoilers. But it's not going to fucking matter. But anyways, he has a non-spoiler review, so check out the video. I'll link it in the description below because I'm going to pretty much say everything he said, not because I'm copying him, but because it's so fucking true. He nailed this spot on. And I just have to reiterate it, basically, and because it's exactly how I feel. So let's get into what went wrong. There were a few things that I picked up in the movie, okay? This is going to be kind of scattered, but when I was watching it, from what I could see, and that's very important, from what the fuck I could see on the screen, there was always, I noticed, the director, Paul W.S. Anderson, was looking around going, this is a pretty cool gun. Alice has a really cool gun here. What if it had one more barrel? She had fucking dual fucking pistols in like underground and fighting like this zombie boss. And her fucking pistols had 2 barrels, just 2 side-by-side barrels. Her pistols had 2 side-by-side barrels. So she has dual wielding pistols with 4 barrels total. They give her a sawed-off shotgun with 3 fucking barrels on it. She fucking pops the chamber out. The gun flips down on the hinge, and she loads up 3 fucking shells. I'm not saying that's not possible and that hasn't been done, but it looked goofy as fuck. Like in Afterlife, right, when she's fighting like the big pyramid head dude, I forget what his name is, but the big colossal pyramid head looking guy with the giant fucking axe hammer. She has the sawed-off shotguns that are firing like rolls of quarters, which was awesome. I thought that was badass. And I'm like, that's cool. She has 1 sawed-off shotgun with 3 barrels, and it looks stupid. It was like, here's the phone, here my phone's the gun, this is how the sawed-off should look. It was like that. It was like, it was stupid. That made me mad because it was just like, it just looked goofy, okay? And that's a small thing to nitpick, but it bothered me because it just looks stupid. It was supposed to look cool and edgy, but it looks stupid. Now, another thing about this movie was the fact that you couldn't see anything. Now, every Resident Evil up to this point had a certain color scheme, right? First one, Resident Evil, was like red, okay? It was just like, the Red Queen was introduced. Alice was wearing red. There was always a lot of red going on with like the elements of blood and everything because it's a horror, it's zombies. It was a lot of red going on. Apocalypse was blue. It was very dark, rainy, depressing kind of city scenery. It was all just like a blue filter. Extinction was gray, not gray, was tan and brown because of the desert, and they were all in the desert. Afterlife was all white. Afterlife was beautiful. That movie was gorgeous because it had white to emphasize like all the blood that was gonna be everywhere, right? Like underground, like not underground, but like in the ship with all like the little like tubes of people. Just like it was solid white and it looked awesome. So every movie had a color scheme, and Retribution. I honestly remember Retribution the least. I think that one was more grayscale because of like the underground and the snow and stuff. That one I've seen Retribution the least before this movie. But, and I didn't like that movie when it came out. When I first saw Retribution, I was disappointed, but the more I watched it, the more I familiarized myself with it, and the more I accepted it, and it became part of the universe for me. But this movie, final chapter, its color scheme was just fucking black. Was pitch dark. You couldn't see a thing. And if like, the lighting wasn't the issue, like, throughout the movie, if you thought the lighting was the issue, oh my god, you wished the lighting was the only issue. The entire movie was shot like this. The entire movie is like, hey, we have a camera. There's somebody in the screen. You can't fucking see him. You can't see anything. It's dark. It's shaky. Every time a gun goes off, it's like, bah, 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 on your screen, and you're watching, you're like, ah! The whole time you're watching, because you can't fucking see anything. The shaky cam was shaky cammed. Like, and then they had jump cuts. They had 3,000 cameras filming the entire scene, and they had the fucking, it's like camera 1, camera 37, camera 12, camera 9, camera 2, camera 7, camera 1 again. All in a span of 2 seconds. They took every 2 seconds of footage was 30 cuts. Like, I try to watch reality TV, and I try to watch modern TV shows. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I take that back. Oh, that was an egregious lie. I don't try to watch them, but whenever I see modern TV and modern, like, reality shows, I get headaches from the amount of jump cuts. Like, I understand we as Americans have a very short time span for attention, a very short attention span, but so we need the camera to change constantly to like keep us focused on what's going on, keep our eyes engaged, but we don't need to have that many camera changes. And on top of that, the shakiness. It was picking up speed, okay? It starts off with camera 1, nice still. We're going through like the underground. It's dark, it's creepy in the movie. It's like, oh, we're hunting in the dark. Are we hunting or are we the ones being hunted? There was like 9 of those scenes, by the way, where they're just wandering in the fucking dark, and 3 billion jump scares. Every 10 seconds was a fucking jump scare. And they're wandering through the dark, and it's like, one camera. Second camera. Because something happened, and then the action sequence was just fucked in the asshole by 300 cameras. It was ridiculous. I can't emphasize enough just how much you couldn't see the movie. Throughout the movie, people said people were like feeling nauseous, like Angry Joe saying how he was like feeling physically sick. I thought it was me for a second. Like, I thought I couldn't focus. I thought I needed glasses halfway through the movie. That's not a joke. I seriously was watching, I was like, do I need glasses? Because I can't fucking see anything. I don't know what's happening. I can't process anything that's happening. Just like rapidly blink your eyes next time you watch an action movie. Just like rapidly blink your eyes and shake your head like this. And that's what it was like watching Resident Evil. I'm not kidding. It was that bad. And I know I dragged this on, but holy fuck. It was that bad. Now, another thing I want to quickly mention is the characters, okay? Obviously, Alice is, the main character of the movie. But the way the Retribution ended had Alice, Ada, Leon, Claire, fucking Wesker, and all the characters sitting up there. You're like, oh boy, none of them are in the movie. When I say none, I mean some show up in the movie, but they're not established characters in this movie. Like, you have Alice, obviously. Wesker shows up. But Wesker's he's just kind of there to be displayed. He's a display. He's like a background character who's there for exposition. And Claire, she's part of like what's going on like with Alice. Like they run into they run into each other. Okay, they ended the last movie with them all together, and here comes the final barrage of enemies. We are the last stand. No, that doesn't happen. That's gone. The movie starts out. I thought I missed something. When I started the movie, I thought, did I miss, a pre-roll where they, did something, and they showed part of the movie, then went to commercial break for people to get in the theater, and then play it again? Did I miss, a 20-minute button scene at the end of Retribution? No. This movie starts off with none of that there. That final shot of them in Washington, getting ready for the final battle, it just doesn't exist. They're not there anymore. Alice is by herself, on a fucking motorcycle, driving around and, trying to, recover. It's just, apparently Wesker, betrayed her at the end of that, and then, they all, got, scattered and shit. They don't cover any of that. It just goes into another Alice is just off alone, riding her motorcycle, trying to find whatever. It skips all that shit, and then she, runs into Claire again. It's and apparently Claire, I don't remember Claire knowing so much about Alice and everything that happened in the previous movies. I don't recall Claire being very well informed on any of this shit. I know a lot of the characters weren't very fleshed out in the previous movies. Carlos was hardly fleshed out, and he was a half-hearted love interest in Extinction, which I could somewhat get behind, but at the same time, it was yeah, they're just kind of doing that. But Claire, she was she was in Extinction, and she was just the hardened leader of that group. And then at the end of Extinction, wherever they go off in the helicopter, they find them again in Afterlife, rescue them, and then after that, it's they just Claire knew way more than she should have known, though we did never see her learn, a character's names and stuff, Dr. Isaacs. Okay. We're about to get into some spoiler territory here for you guys, but honestly, I would say stop watching, but I don't want you to see this movie. I'd rather sum it up for you guys and have you seriously skip the movie, because there's no benefit to watching this movie at all. No joke, I 100% swear to God, I do not consider Resident Evil, the final chapter, canonical to the story. I don't consider it the last movie. I am accepting the end of Retribution with them on top of the fucking White House, or I think they're on top of the White House, looking at the horde of imminent doom as the end of the series. That's my cutoff point. This movie is not part of the universe. I am off. It's gone. It doesn't exist. So, that being said, take everything I say with it doesn't exist in the franchise, and it was a shitty parody, okay? So, I'm going to say spoiler warning, but who cares, because it doesn't matter. Dr. Isaacs returns, and he was killed. I believe Isaacs was the doctor. I'm trying to remember. We've been watching the movies, but there's so many different doctors that get introduced in every movie. I think Isaacs was the one in Extinction, if I'm not wrong. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he was the one in Extinction who, mutates, I am the future. And then he mutates himself or whatever. Yeah. That was Dr. Isaac. He was in Extinction. So we haven't seen Isaac since Extinction, and now he's the main antagonist because clones. If they can clone Alice, why can't they clone everybody? So they did. They cloned Isaacs. Deal with it. The Isaacs were introduced in the movie. The whole time is some religious, righteous Christian God feeling guy who's covered in crosses. Everywhere he goes, he has some kind of holy scripture about him, and he's gonna turn the world, and he's gonna the richest, most powerful people as the new ark, and he's cryogenically freezing them, and he's gonna cleanse the world, and then they're gonna emerge and rebuild the world. Which I could see that storyline. It's kind of a predictable storyline. But then it's the whole time we're sitting there seeing this Isaacs. No, that one was a clone. Fuck him. He's a clone. I'm the real Isaacs. And then they have so many. You thought the other movies were bad for having unexplained, amazing technology that can do anything that's convenient for the plot. Well, this movie does it even more so by giving him fucking Dr. Isaacs had this fucking I don't know if they were in his cuffs or if they were in his contact lenses. I don't remember because I couldn't see. he had this fucking thing where it was like a combat predictability program where he could see every scene. He had the Sharingan, okay? He had Sasuke's Sharingan from Naruto, except like he had like Mangekyo Sharingan times 1,000. He had like the Rinnegan, everything combined. He could see it all, like 20% probability. He had like 3 scenarios. Alice was like walking into a room just like, oh fuck, it's Isaac's, and there's Wesker in the corner. Oh, I'm totally fucked, but I'm gonna get out of this. She sees on the table, it's like there's a pen, there's a glass, and it plays through these cool scenes of her like getting the weapon, going like countering him and like killing him really quick with one of the 3 weapons that's on the table, and like, I mean, not weapons, but like everyday items that she's gonna use as weapons. And then it shows her that it's just like, oh man, which one's she gonna do? How's she gonna get him? How's it gonna go wrong? And then it goes, it doesn't work. And she's like, what? And he's like, I know what you were thinking because I have my predictability program. And then it shows him perceiving it all that we just watched with her, except all of them going wrong because of the predictability program. So it's basically just like he can predict all the moves, which means she should never be able to get a hit on him. And yet when they fight and stuff, she gets hits on him. She like, she beats him and stuff like that by the end of the movie, whatever, which is bullshit because of predictability program. She should not have been able to win. And they also bring back the fucking laser room, which is annoying because this is like the 4th time they've done the laser room, it was cool up to like the 2nd time that I saw it. But then it's just like, can we be done? Is that all? Oh, and also the entire movie was filled with like, it's Umbrella Corporation, so obviously they have some badass like traps and like security measures for the heroes to get by. This is like straight out of Saw, some of the stuff they have going on. Like, it was ridiculous. I can't explain. It's just like, I was watching like, is this a horror movie? Am I seriously just like watching Saw but with Resident Evil? Because some of the stuff that's happening is like, it doesn't, why would they have this in place in the fucking ventilation system? They're in the vents, and the vent like fucking like rotates, like the wall rotates them out, and it's like, alright, I don't know if you guys recycle, but in Michigan they have, I don't know where else they'd be, because in New Hampshire they didn't have these recycling things, but like, you go to like this recycling machine inside like a Walmart or something, you put like your can in it, and the thing like rotates like a gun barrel. It rotates like a revolver barrel, and takes the can, it has another open slot, takes the can, has another open slot, just like rotates and like takes it to another spot. The ventilation system had that. It had a little wall that just like rotated the character out and dropped him in a pit somewhere, and fucking... It was retarded. It just, I get the idea of wanting to go for cool traps and stuff, but it has to make sense. It didn't make sense where it was placed and how it was executed. And that being all said and done, like, it was just a really shitty story the way they did it. Like, basically, they undid everything all the other movies built. So you had in Apocalypse, you were introduced to the scientist who's in the wheelchair, who created the T virus to save his daughter, who was, her muscles and her body were like degenerating and like being broken down, and she couldn't walk, or she's gonna like not be able to walk and stuff like him. So he created the T virus to regenerate her cells, and then some scientists, not some scientists, but a dude who worked for the Umbrella Corporation on the ground where the serum was being developed, he stole it, was gonna sell it, and he like threw it in there and whatever have you, blah blah blah, Red Queen, blah blah blah. Undo all of that! And then we have this movie where it's like, oh, apparently another scientist dude was fucking was trying to find a way. This girl, Alicia had, she was like aging much faster. Like by the time she was 25, she would have the body of a 90-year-old, whatever that disease is called. I don't remember. But he was like trying to reverse that and like fix that. And he fixed it, yay! But that was the T virus instead. They just took every story and every bit of lore they had built up in a semi-coherent time and storyline up until Retribution, and they just took all that and they're like, shredder, put it in the shredder. That didn't happen. Remember this, we're gonna save that, we're gonna save this, we're gonna save that, everything else just fucking burn it. That's what they did. They picked certain plot elements that they wanted to keep, certain characters that they wanted to keep, and then undid everything else. You can't fucking do that. You can't do that. Not to me. I will not accept that. That is fucking garbage. Oh, and here's the other thing. Alice, this is big spoilers, quickly. Alice, the one we've been following the whole time, the one that was the original Project Alice, and who had a bunch of clones, taken, like, they took her blood from Apocalypse and were cloning her and stuff like that, trying to develop, the best, like, whatever from her blood. And she was a clone. The Alice we were watching the whole time was a fucking clone of the girl, Alicia, who had the fucking aging disease, and some random lady we saw in like a flashback who was sitting in a wheelchair with fucking Isaacs is the original Alice, who's that girl grown up, and now Red Queen, this Red Queen who is apparently supposedly supposed to be the original Red Queen from the first movie, but is now in this movie, was based off of the scientist's daughter who created the disease, who created the T-virus to fix his daughter, who's Alicia. That's the Red Queen now instead of the wheelchair guy's daughter, and that's the Red Queen. Alice is a clone from the old lady who is actual Alice, who the Red Queen's based off of, and who's that girl grown up into an old lady. And the Alice that we've had throughout this entire story is a clone of this old lady. What the fuck? What the fuck? God, no, you don't do that. You don't fucking take our character and just say, ha, clone. One, why was she so important as the original Project Alice when she was herself a fucking clone? I know that she was the one who bonded with the T-virus, but as a clone, she's not perfect. You know, as like the other clones, the other Alices were not perfect and would not suffice. Why does this Alice, as an imperfect clone, why was she bond with the T-virus so perfectly to where she was now like the key component to fucking doing all the other movies' plot when she was a clone herself, and that way the other clones were not viable, though they had the same blood, but because they were clones, they weren't as effective, so it couldn't work. But she herself was a fucking clone! It doesn't work! It doesn't make sense! None of that makes sense, and it's fucking bullshit. And I hated it. When I saw that the old lady Alice was the original Alice, and I heard that this Alice that we've had this entire time, who we've grown to love and have been here the whole time with, was a clone, that's the second time I almost walked out of the movie. The first, just because I couldn't see. I had a point where I honestly shuffled in my seat, and I got ready to stand up and leave. But I was like, I'm gonna watch it. Gonna see how it goes. Maybe they say something that explains it. Oh yeah, and then the end of the movie, they're just like, she has like the entire time she's trying to get to the underground hive, the original hive, where the fucking airborne cure for the airborne antivirus that somehow is gonna spread throughout the entire world. This one vial like that big, it contains the only serum that's gonna cure the world or whatever. It will destroy all cells in the body that have the T-virus, okay, that have fused with the T-virus, that are T-virus. It will destroy them. Blah blah blah. Spoilers. At the end of the movie, when she gets it, she fucking breaks it or whatever, and it goes throughout the wind. She fucking drops the vial, it breaks, and instantly the horde fucking just falls in line. They all just fall to the ground because they're immediately cured. It's been in the air for all of 3.5 seconds, and they're all immediately consumed by it and fall to the ground. They don't stand up and become people again, but they all just kind of like die because they're already like degraded and destroyed and like shot and stabbed and cut and blown up and stuff. So their bodies just kind of fall because the T-virus is no longer keeping them going. But Alice herself, clone Alice, the one we love, is obviously bonded with the T-virus on a cellular level, meaning she should be, even if Wesker cured her of the virus and then gave her back the virus, she is still bonded with it and is still part of her structure. Her existence is bonded with it. So and the entire movie leads you to believe that, like, obviously, if I do this, I self-sacrifice and I die along with it because it's going to destroy the T-virus in me, which is going to kill me because it's bonded with me. Nope, fuck that. No. It destroys the T-virus cells in her, but she's fine. She's a normal person. It's all good. Whatever she said, she's like, how did I survive? And blah, blah, blah. But I will admit, there were two things. Okay? I'm going to wrap this video up. It's going on long enough, and I can't fucking rage anymore. I'm tired. I hate this. I'm going to go get in the shower to wash this movie off my body. We're going on almost 30 minutes by my recording. So, to wrap this up, Um, this movie had two good scenes for me. Two scenes where I thought either that was pretty cool and it was engaging. The only two scenes, one, are where she's going along the highway, she comes to an underpass or an overpass or whatever. She's going underneath another highway, whatever you want to call it, I don't know. And she ends up getting like ambushed by these Umbrella Corporation guys who are there for no reason other than to give her a motorcycle. Or to actually have her think she's going to get a motorcycle, get knocked out, and then get taken captive. But there's this point where she gets like suspended in the air. Like, have you ever played the first Tomb Raider on Xbox? And you know how when there and she ends up taking out like 5 or 6 fucking Umbrella Corporation soldiers like hanging from the wire, and that scene I thought was pretty cool. It didn't make me want to vomit from the jump cuts because it was in the middle of the day, so I could actually physically see that there was stuff happening. I couldn't tell exactly what was happening, but I could see that, hey, look, there's characters on the screen. This is fantastic. Greatest movie ever. 10 out of 10 for that scene. And that scene was good. I like that. And then the last one, which was the very, very, very end of the movie, where the Red Queen, remember Red Queen being the, based off of Alice, the actual human, real Alice when she was a little girl, the old woman Alice, the reason why our Alice has no memories before, she's like, oh, memory loss, because she was part of the Umbrella Corporation, and then they just like, wiped her memory and stuff, and then she was kind of doing all this shit. No, apparently the reason why she had no memories is because she was a clone. So the Red Queen imbues Alice with all of the memories of the original Alice, and giving her like her past, even though she's a clone, giving her the past that she thought she had or wanted to have, but she didn't know. And I thought that scene was kind of cool, and it did, I'm not gonna lie, it did make me kind of tear up a little bit, because I fucking love Alice, and I love these movies, and I loved, up until this point, the story, and I thought it was cool, it was nice, and it felt good to see her, like, silently, just, like, stoic face, been through hell, just, like, crying a little bit, and just, like, taking in the memories that were never hers, because she now knows she's a clone, but that they were based off of, her. I thought that scene was all right, and I liked it. I enjoyed that scene. It definitely got me choked a little bit, but I fucking walked out of that theater, dude. It's just fuming. I was upset. They fucking ruined, they destroyed and aborted the last final effort for the Resident Evil movie franchise. And again, I'm going to reiterate it. This movie, in my head, Resident Evil, the final chapter, is in no way canonical to the story. The series ends at Retribution. 6 movies. Paul W.S. Anderson, you wrote and directed this movie, and you can go fuck yourself. That's my review, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't watch the movie. Later.